Welcome up, everybody. I am, of course, Matt,
I'm Chris.
and we are your bearded brothers, and we are back again with yet another sports podcast. Whoop whoop. And boy, whoo, man, it was a wild card weekend. And talk about a wild card weekend.
It was wild. Things didn't go exactly as planned in some games. Actually,
Boy,
most
did
games
we ever
did
screw
not.
up our NFC predictions.
Yeah, the games did not go where we thought they would, and even the games we got right, they were close as hell.
They were a lot closer than we thought they were going to
Close
be.
as hell.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I mean, why not just let's just jump right into the news, because there's some
Let's
things
jump
to talk
into the
about.
news. I've got plenty of news to talk about. I wrote down a whole, I think I wrote down, I got 7 or 8 or 9 things here that we can...
Yeah, and you got the
Jump
stuff
in.
from this morning too, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, got
yeah.
those.
Yeah, the two
All right.
two firings.
Well, a hiring and a firing.
Oh, there's two firings from the Chargers. They fired.
I
fired-
only saw the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, no, I'll pull it up on my phone. They did actually fire another individual as well. Not as important, but it still fired somebody.
Yeah, it's probably like a quarterback coach or something like
It's
that.
their passing game coordinator coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slash quarterback coach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. I just want to
But
pull
we'll
up his
start
name.
there. The Chargers have fired their offensive coordinator. I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down.
I will pull it up.
Oh,
Give me one
oh,
second.
oh, it starts with an O. That's what I remember.
No, it's Joe. Chargers fired
No.
offensive. Huh?
His last name starts with an O, doesn't it?
No, it starts with an L. It's Lombardi.
Oh,
Joe
it Lombardi?
Lombardi. Yeah, Joe Lombardi.
Lombardo?
Yeah. Chargers fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and passing game
Yeah.
coordinator quarterbacks coach Shane Day on Tuesday, 3 days after the team's colossal playoff collapse in Jacksonville.
I wonder if he's one of those Lombardis.
He is.
Oh, well, there you
He
go.
is. Yeah. So they fired a Lombardi.
Well, that probably means, as we were just discussing, that probably means Brandon Staley is keeping his job.
Yeah.
Much to
Yeah.
the chagrin of, I'm sure, Chargers fans.
Yep. Brandon's probably
Um,
staying around, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that one. In the same vein as, Chargers fans being upset about that one, I'm sure the Vikings fans are upset about the news that's probably going to break on that too. So,
I'm sure they're going to keep Ed Donatel at this point.
Yeah.
As you and I talked, that head coach KOC said that he was also involved in the planning of the defensive schemes, so some of that is on him.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're going to keep Ed Donatel. And you pointed out maybe we just don't have the people to run the schemes that he wanted. So if we see a glut of defensive players taken by the Vikings in the draft and they start looking at free agency and the defensive side of the ball, then you'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
But no. So quite obviously, the Chargers fired their offensive coordinator. They fired their quarterback coach. You have to do that after you have a 27-point collapse in a playoff game.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. There was a lot of things that went wrong in that game for them. It started off great. I mean, four picks in the first half, 3 of them in the first quarter. I mean, you look at that and you go, there is no reason the Chargers should even have a chance to lose that game. Yet, in the second half, Jacksonville did exactly what I said they would do, which is they're going to make adjustments. They've already played the Chargers and beaten them before, so they're going to make adjustments. They're going to see what's working and what's not working, and they're going to try to calm. And Doug Peterson, he's a great head coach, especially for young QBs. He's shown that before. He's very good with young
quarterback
QBs.
whisperer.
He really is. So he must have said something to Trevor. He calmed him down, and according to Trevor,
Oh, by the
apparently-
way, had thrown 4 interceptions.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
in the
and
first half.
and threw none.
3
in
of
the
them in
second.
the first quarter.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Yeah, he didn't throw a single interception all of the second half. And
4 touchdowns for the second half, so
Yeah.
balanced himself out.
exactly. And on top of that, funnily enough, at the end, people were asking Trevor Lawrence his thoughts on Doug Pearson or of how he coaches. And he basically implied that Doug is not an authoritarian figure. He's not somebody who's like, when you make a mistake, is going to get down on you. He'll banter with you. He'll joke a little bit. Like if you make a bad pass, he implied that if you make a bad pass and you come to the line over to the line to talk to him, he's going to be like, man, what the hell is that? You know better. What the hell? Come on, man. You could do better.
And
Like, he's like one of those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like,
but that works for
a lot
Trevor.
of people would want to. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. He's a coach that some people want to play for. Somebody who's gonna banter with you a little bit. And
I get the feeling that
he's gonna hold you up to the expectations that you hold for yourself. Like, he's got high expectations, and he's gonna hold you to that, but he's not gonna be an asshole about it.
You know, the guy that I also feel is probably like that and gets a lot out of his players.
KOC.
The Detroit Lions.
Oh, yeah.
KOC, Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. Yeah, he's very much like that. The very much in the trenches kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks like a kind of guy that you want to play for. You know, he's nutso, but in a fun way.
Brian Dable, I think, is probably a very similar coach. Right?
I would think so, and he doesn't have a problem.
He's gotten the most out of his players that you would think that any other coach has had issues with.
And he seems to have apparently fixed Danny Jones.
Now, granted, this is one season that we're getting really good out of, and I'll say this: Rich Eisen also made another good example. He's kind of looking like a Colin Kaepernick. He can move on the ground a little bit more. He can be very accurate at times. But of course that also means that that's just like the issues that they had though with the 49ers with Colin Kaepernick, they might still have that same issues where some games he's going to look amazing and other games he won't.
We'll see. Because this is the first season where he's actually had good success.
Yeah. We'll see going forward if that's something he can continue.
If he's figured himself out and Dable's gotten that kind of side out of him, I think they could be in for a rough time out there. All right.
For sure.
So talking about other people that may be on the hot seat before we go into hirings of individuals, let's talk about, I believe his name is Brett Maher.
I think that's how you say his name, yeah.
I think it's Brett Maher, the place kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, who somehow or another managed to shank all 4 of his extra point tries.
The worst part about that is if you actually look at his record before that, he looked fine before that, but all of a sudden this playoff game, he just couldn't.
He missed his last extra point against Washington, too.
Yeah.
So that's 5 extra points in a row he missed. At some point, you have to ask if he's trolling. I mean, after you miss the second one, you just go, fuck it, I'm going to miss the rest of them. Why not?
I gotta ask, did his holder change? Does he have a different holder or something?
I don't know. I know he missed...
Because a couple of those ones where he kicked looked really bad. Like, almost like he kicked it wrong.
Somebody has added on TikTok, they've done the Madden kicking arc thing, and they've pointed it way to the other side of the goalpost just to be idiots.
I don't know. Either my only thoughts, based upon like if you look at how good he was in the regular season for the most part, my only thoughts is he either got a new holder, he's got the yips, which is possible, or he's actually has an injury that he's not telling people about.
Now, so that's kind of news, but he's not on the hottest of hot seats.
No, but that certainly doesn't look good, especially in the playoffs. Like, you don't have to worry about missing extra points in the playoffs.
Because the Cowboys did win.
They did. And it was a pretty handheld victory. Like, it wasn't close.
that totally changes the dynamic of
and of course,
if those had cost them the game, he's looking for a new job right now.
And of course, that then also follows into the Tom Brady news, which this was obviously the worst performance by Tom Brady in a playoff game ever. And he did announce that he was going to take it day by day. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He could retire.
He does not.
He could play.
He's going to take some time off.
Yeah.
And
just like an
figure out what he wants to do next. Now, he did come out earlier in the season and say the next time that he retires is the last time. He's not retiring and unretiring every season. That's not going to be something that he does. So he did say that when he decides to retire next time, that's it. He's done for good. He's going to hang it up.
It's going to be actually him retiring. Like, the one thing he pointed out this last time is that he felt pressured to do so from other... he said it earlier that he didn't say exactly who, but he just said that he felt like there was some pressure for him to retire. Now, regardless if that was from his family... Yeah.
I'm sure his wife and his kids were in on it, and probably other people in his family, and maybe the media and everything else.
He wasn't ultimately happy with it because he felt he still had some in the tank. And here's the thing, Tom Brady being a competitor, I don't think he's going to retire this offseason, only because of if you're a very big competitor, one that's been around as long as he has, you do not want to end your season on the worst playoff game of your career.
No, and
so
there's been a lot of suggestions about where he might end up. Most people so far have picked the Raiders. That's where they're looking now.
Which it makes sense on paper. He would be linking up with a coach he knows very well, and he has had a lot of success with in the Patriots system, which is obviously McDaniels. Josh McDaniels up in the Raiders. And we know that Carr is leaving the Raiders because the Raiders have already basically stated that they have looked for trade partners for Carr.
They're either gonna cut him or trade him at this point.
They've made it pretty clear that he's not staying around.
Exactly.
Carr's even made that clear, that he doesn't want to stay anymore.
No, the way they've treated him, I wouldn't either if I were him. I'd want out.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty obvious that Brady's probably going to sign there if he signs anywhere else. There's been suggestions that maybe the Buccaneers could look at replacing Brady with Carr.
You could. You
making
could do a
trade.
1-for-1 trade. You could, but I don't know.
Well,
if that's a good
you
call.
wouldn't even be able to trade Brady, but you could trade. You could do a sign-in trade with Brady potentially for Carr. Yes, but that might actually be a decent thought.
It could be.
There's also been, and that would be contingent on Brady actually wanting to go there.
Yeah.
There's also been at least one person that I've seen has suggested he should go to Miami.
Which I think, if you didn't see it, there was news that the Dolphins owner came out and basically said Tua is our quarterback.
Yeah, and they expect him to be back at 100%
pretty unlikely.
Yeah. And then at least one person threw a dark horse out there and said, he should go play for the Jets.
Which I don't think Tom Brady wants to play for the Jets. However,
well,
if he
got
does,
the added bonus. He's got the added bonus if he would go against the Patriots twice a year and really stick it to Bill Belichick if that was in his DNA to want to prove.
That's what I was gonna say. If that's his thing, he could.
If that's something that he thinks about doing, he could just it would be a middle finger to Bill to win 2 championships with the Jets.
It would be. Now,
or a championship with the Jets over the Patriots, that kind of thing.
I think it's, to me, if he's coming back and he doesn't stay with the Bucs, which I think he's made it clear he doesn't want to.
I don't think he does.
I think it's if I were to be a betting man, I say he comes back and he plays for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'd give the Raiders the best odds. Just the Josh McDaniels connection.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniel connection.
Plus, you already got a good offensive team.
Yeah, you've got Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, and you've already got the running back.
Who's that other
Hunter Renfrow?
Hunter Renfrow, yeah. Third down Renfrow.
And then you've got the big running back. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Is it
Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
Jacobs.
And you got a pretty decent defense, actually.
That team is and that defense isn't horrible either.
No.
So
that defense just needs a couple extra pieces, and you're good to go.
You're stepping into a situation that's even better than the one you had when you stepped into Tampa.
Oh, yeah. At least equal, if not better. At least equal.
Well, because I don't think Tampa had a great running game when he stepped in. They had good wide receivers and everything.
Actually, remember, they ended up getting Fournette. He had one of his best seasons for a guy his age.
Yeah, but he wasn't Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs.
No, he wasn't. But but Fournette actually ended up giving them a decent run game more than
he did.
That allowed them, partially to win the Super Bowl. Remember, so he did just enough to give them just enough, right?
Yeah. He did.
And the only reason I know that is because he was on my fantasy draft that year. He actually earned quite a few points. He was pretty good. So, yeah, but I would argue that he is no Josh Jacobs and that the Raiders would be the better option. Just realistically, don't get me wrong. The Jets do have good offensive weapons, but I'm worried about the O-line. Like, the O-line doesn't seem like it's quite there. And Brady, at his age, isn't going to want to get hit all the damn time.
Since we're still talking about, the Buccaneers and everything, we do need to mention that Russell Gage left the game really late in the fourth quarter. He was taken to a local hospital, according to current head coach Bruce Arians. He was taken to a local hospital, and he has been diagnosed with a concussion. And as far as I know, he's still there.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with a concussion and a neck injury. Actually, it was a neck
Okay,
injury and
so it
concussion.
is. So they did come out and say neck injury finally.
Yeah, they did say it's a neck
Because
injury
I had
and
only
a
heard the
concussion.
concussion part, but that's kind of big news.
Yeah.
Speaking about
depending on how bad it is, I mean, they were saying originally when he was on the ground that he was immobilized, which implies that he might be conscious, but he can't fucking move.
yeah, that could be a stinger. That could be a massive neck injury. That could be an I'm never playing football again injury. So
it might be I'm never walking again injury.
And that could totally be that. That could be the worst one of all. Could be like the Christopher Reeves injury.
Yeah, that's what they're worried about.
All right, guys. Getting away from the doom and gloom, let's get to some. We do have one more guy whose future's in limbo right now, but that's because he has to pick where he wants to go, and that would be Sean Payton.
Yeah.
The Texans have come out and said they have completed their interview process with him. So we'll see where he goes there. One team that is no longer looking for somebody is the Browns. The Browns have hired Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. That's right. The former Lions head coach, Jim Schwartz, and the defensive coordinator of the Eagles when they won their Super Bowl.
I would say he's a pretty good defensive coordinator. He's done the job a couple times.
I'd say that's a pretty good.
He's not a good head coach. Not a good head coach.
No, God, no.
But he's a good defensive.
He's a decent to good defensive coordinator. Yeah. So good on the Browns. I think you found somebody that you really can use.
Yeah,
I think they needed that. Now let's see here. What else do I have? Okay.
I do want to add one that I thought was funny. And some people might not find this funny. I thought it was funny. You might find it funny. Washington Commanders are interviewing Pat Shurmur for their offensive coordinator position today.
What the fuck? How many fucking chances is that guy gonna get?
The thing is, he's riding his coattails on that one fucking season. And everyone knows the fucking miracle in Minneapolis. That was Pat Shurmur.
Yep.
So, hey, credit to him. He's riding the shit out of that one season.
He is. I mean, you took a quarterback that nobody thought could do it, and
yeah.
And then he became a head coach somewhere, and
he went to the Giants. Yeah.
And then flopped that hard.
So it was funny because he went to the Giants as head coach, flopped, became like the Giants GM for a short time, flopped the shit out of that. I don't even know where he's been since then, but
I don't know. So we also need to state that apparently Jim Harbaugh will not be on the NFL head coaching market.
Sounds like it. I'm still not convinced, but it does sound that way.
It does sound like he will be back at Michigan this next upcoming year. Speaking of Harbaugh's, his brother John Harbaugh is having to deal with a small mutiny in the locker room. Yeah. Maybe not mutiny, and it's maybe not John's problem. It's more the GM's problem.
It's more the GM's
problem. But all of Lamar's teammates in Ravensland are stumping to get him a new contract. They think he's earned it. They think he deserves it. Yep. And they think the fact that he doesn't have one is kind of BS.
Yeah.
So they're all over that. Also, the Cardinals hired a longtime Titans assistant, a guy who's come up from personal assistant to director of scouting. He's been an assistant general manager, I believe, over in Titans land for a couple of years now. He's been around the game 21 years. I don't remember the guy's name, but they have hired him to be their general manager. So congratulations to him. Yep. You have now the unenviable task of consulting your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, good luck with that one, guys. That is looking...
To find yourself a new head coach.
That is looking rather tough, if I'm not going to say so myself.
And it doesn't help that certain people who have been Cardinals or were in the locker room before and after he got that extension have come out and stated that after he got the extension, he completely does not care.
By the way, his name is Monty Austinfort.
There you go. Monty Austinfort. Congratulations, Monty Austinfort.
I don't enjoy your job.
No, you've got a hard job coming up, but you know what? Maybe that's the kind of thing you like. You like a challenge, so you probably got yourself one.
Yeah.
Non-NFL related story that I found interesting. I don't know if anybody else will.
Go ahead.
Robin Leonard. Robin Leonard. He's a goalie for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. In fact, he would be their starting goalie if he weren't currently recovering from off-season hip surgery.
Oof.
Yeah. Signed a 5-by-5 contract. 5 years, $5 million. So $25 million all in total. Went ahead and filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, stating that he currently owes $50 million in debt.
Someone's not good with his money.
Someone is horrible with his money.
How do you get $50 million? Like, how many houses does this fucker have?
One. But from what we gather, he and his father were starting a business called Solar something. And it's in multiple states, and they owe multiple loans to multiple people. And the reason all of this came out is in Wisconsin, the group that he borrowed from is suing him for $4 million because he missed his first 4 payments.
Ooh.
And apparently he also bought a collection of... Now, this was back in 2017. He bought a collection of exotic snakes.
Oh, I heard about that, yeah.
$1.2 million. A lot of people are latched onto that, but that was back several years ago, and we've known he's been a reptile fanatic for most of his life. I can't blame him for that. I like snakes. My wife likes snakes.
I got no problem
so I'm not going to be mad at him, but goalies are kind of a weird bunch, so him having a weird offbeat thing like that is okay, but apparently the reason it's in the news is because he's missed payments on those too.
Oof.
So
when you make that much money, like, man, you gotta be more careful with your money. Like, I get it. I get, like, you think you can just spend your money willy-nilly because you have a bunch of it, but if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna go into a business and try to start a business, man, you better make sure that your business plan is as concrete as possible, because otherwise you will sink your money and it'll go away real fast.
Really fast. And the reason that I think that this is kind of a big deal is I think I brought it up with you ages ago. I may have brought it up on a podcast before, but I don't remember. There's another podcast that I watch from the guys over at SDPN, and it's called Agent Provocateur, where it's an actual NHL player agent. Alan... I can't remember Alan's last name, and they're gonna be mad at me because they always yell out noted Alan Walsh. Noted Alan Walsh client, and so like they actually sell gear that says I am a noted Alan Walsh client, which I think is hilarious. But he and Adam Wilde do a podcast called Agent Provocateur, and they had a guy on there, Frank Zecca of Octagon Financial Management. They're a wealth management company. That's their entire job. Like, these are the guys that are like, they are the advisors and wealth managers for, like, Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
Basically,
they handle large sums of money. Yeah, I got you.
They pointed out that most of the time when you see a big deal like that, the player's only going to take home about 40% of what the actual deal is. Yeah. Because the rest gets eaten up in taxes, agent payments, and escrow.
Yeah.
And so they've got 40% of that. And so one of the things that they recommend is if you're going to have a thing, like you're going to have a stupid thing you spend money on, expensive watches. Yeah. That's your thing. That's your splurge thing. You're allowed to use that as a splurge thing, but you can't have any other splurge. And here's your financial plan, and you have to follow it.
Yeah.
And because their thing is, this is entirely voluntary. We don't have to have you as a client. You don't have to be here as a client.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to follow what we put forth, then we're just going to not client you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're very strict about what they do, but it works, and it helps people plan and invest for their futures. So yeah, Robin Leonard, I feel for you, man. You think you're going to have a lot more money than you do, and you spend like a crazy maniac, you and your dad, and then it doesn't work out. Your business plan didn't work out, and you wound up not seeing the returns that you saw. I did it, dude. I hope this works out for you. I hope you get your life figured out. I hope everything works out for you. But then hopefully you return to the rink and do really well. That would be nice.
At least get some of that money back, hopefully.
Yeah, no, but I thought that was an interesting non-football story that I saw pop up today. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. Let's talk about that.
There's a reason why when you get a large sum of money that if you do it yourself, you have to be very regimented with yourself. or
Yes.
you do need to hire one of these groups of people that are supposed to help you manage your money. Like I hate to be that guy because you don't want to have to, because you know the part of the money that you're spending is going to those people because you
Well,
have to pay them.
and then, because like one of the things they talk about the lottery, right? Most
Yeah.
people that win the lottery wind up broke within like 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't know how to manage their money. So my plan, if I ever
Or-
won the lottery,
or-
was
or they'll-
always the exact same.
Yeah, they'll either try to spend all their money, or the worst case scenario that happens to a lot of people is all of a sudden friends and family will come out of the woodwork asking for money, and then all of a sudden you become, the guy who will spend all the money because look at all the friends you got now. Well, they're not friends. They're there to use you until you have no money, and then they leave. That's what they do.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I said, I talked with Shannon, if we ever won a big lottery jackpot, we would go ahead and, as much as we could, try to claim it anonymously.
Yeah.
So nobody would know we had it.
Yep.
Half of it goes into a bank account to pay for the taxes
Yep.
up front, because I know it's not 50%, but you might as well just take the 50%.
Yep.
The rest of it you can dole out portions, but you're going to spend like another 50% of what's left, of the 50%, so 25% of the total outcome, you're going to give to a fiduciary, and they're going to invest it for you, like a wealth management company.
Yeah.
This is your chunk. I need you to make sure that we don't lose this, and then you're going to give some more over to savings, and so then you start trust funds for the young people in your life. If you have kids or if you have nieces and nephews, you can start a trust fund.
I would do stuff like that. I would also obviously, I mean, the very first thing I would do before everything else is obviously, like you're saying, you got to split off. People say 50. That's the safe bet. Like, you could technically do 30 or 40 and still be safe-ish.
I would do 50 because then whatever's
50,
left,
if you have anything left,
into somewhere else.
But then any of the money that I'm keeping, I'm immediately paying off all of my debts, whatever I owe. I'm paying off, my parents' houses, or house, I should say. They don't have more than one. The house. I would, help pay off whatever I can for any of my close family debt, right?
Yeah.
And then and then a bunch of that money then is going to go get basically put into either an IRA or some type of trust fund of some kind, where it's going to start earning back value. And then whatever I have left is basically going to be used to either build my own house or to basically secure the fact that I'm gonna go as far away from pretty much everybody as possible, and live my life the way I want to live it, and then that money I can basically just do whatever I want with.
What we had kind of talked about at one point in time was taking a chunk of what's left and putting it into a savings account, a high yield savings account somewhere that pays out a little bit at a time, monthly. That we could, or yearly, that we could live on our stipend for us to live off of, and then once the fiduciary stuff is up and running, and you can live off of the splits and the secondaries, and the extra from that.
Yeah,
and that was the idea.
And so that's the basic concept. Now, granted, a lot easier said than done. A lot of people make plans like that and then never actually do them when they win the lottery.
Yeah, but I'm hard-headed. So
some of us are, for sure. But when you come into a lot of money, it's easy to be like, well, why can't I buy this car? I have all of this money.
Yeah, no, and
maybe it's
really disciplined.
Yeah, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be smart, and it's hard to do that when you have that much money sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, and I can understand.
Anyways, we're getting off topic.
We're getting way off topic. Back to sports. Let's do the recap. Recap. It's the recap. Okay, we're going to start with the AFC, where we did pretty good. We'll save the NFC for a second, because I think we're going to have to rant about that for a little bit.
Well, some of my rants aren't coming until later, but yeah. Yeah. I'm also not going to rant nearly as bad as people expect me to. Like, I know that I was really heated at the end of some games, but after time to...
Oh, you were heated.
After time to reflect and, look back at everything and, did my due diligence as a person to understand that, well, this is not something to be angry about, but what's going on, and actually look at it with an intelligent and logical mindset. I'm still upset about certain things, but it's not going to come across as like a big yelling rant.
I'm still upset about you dumping it down.
Huh?
I'm still upset about him dumping it down.
Well, it is what it is.
We'll get to there. All right, so starting at the AFC playoffs games, we're going to start with Miami and Buffalo. We both picked Buffalo to win that one. We were both correct. Buffalo moves on. Although Miami...
Man, they put up hell of a fight.
Skylar Thompson, they gave a hell of a battle. Skylar Thompson proved that he's a decent backup. I don't know if he's starter material.
No. I mean, the only reason I say that is because he's inconsistent. Because if you look at the game prior, last week's game that he played, it was really rough. So
yeah,
this
one was a lot better.
I'll give him credit. They helped.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, they got him ready.
Inconsistent, but I think he's a good backup.
Yeah.
But we both expected Buffalo to win that one. Josh Allen, dude, you got to calm down. You got to start throwing the ball away.
He's throwing too many 50-50s.
Diggs comes down with it, my dude.
Yeah. He's throwing too many picks. Like, yeah. He's almost the opposite of the other quarterback that I have a huge problem with. So
Kirk?
Yeah. I'm a check it down all the time guy.
I'm a check it down Kirk. Yeah, no.
Check down Kirk. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the problem is Josh is too much of a... You know what he reminds me of?
He's a gunslinger. He's like a Ryan
He's
Fitzpatrick.
a Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he's just going to throw it up there.
He's going to throw it up there and hope you go get it.
Yep.
And he's going to try to squeeze it into places he shouldn't, and it's going to cause him to get intercepted. Like,
Brett
Favre, I think, has the most touchdowns of any quarterback to throw the game, or one of them. He's up there. And I also think he leads the league, or led the league career-wise, in interceptions for a quarterback, because he played for so long. But he also thought he could make every throw. And I can understand you want that kind of mentality in your quarterback, but at a certain point, they've got to learn when to throw the ball away.
Yeah, it's hard to find a perfect medium. I'll say this, I'd rather have someone who's going to take risks than not, more often than not, to be fair. But I think Josh Allen, the difference is I think Josh Allen's taking unnecessary risks, and I think that's where the problem is. Like, there are certain times where making the risk is the correct call, even if the play doesn't work out in your favor. But there are definitely times where it's like, you're on 1st and 10. Did you really need to heave a 50-yard ball down the field that was going to be 50-50? Probably not.
Yeah. Baltimore at Cincinnati. We both picked Cincinnati, and we were both barely correct. That game was a lot closer than I think we wanted to give it credit for. Caleb Huntley, man. You know what? If they let Lamar go, that dude's their starter.
I was going to say, I've actually been hearing people say that they should just start Huntleying, let Lamar go, since Lamar's going to cost way more than Huntley's going to.
Mm-hmm. And you could use the money you save on Lamar, you could use it on a wide receiver for Huntley.
Yep. Heck, you could
100%.
Heck, you could get more than one wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. You could probably get 2 of them out.
Now, would that be the choice I go with? No, but I can understand it.
I can understand if they do it financially. I understand it. It's not the choice I'd make, but I'm not the one in charge of the Baltimore Colts, so I don't have, or Baltimore Ravens.
They haven't been Baltimore Colts in a long time.
No, they fucking haven't. Not since 1983. Sorry, I did a John Elway video this week, and Baltimore Colts are stuck in
that's right. Yep.
So for you, if anybody hasn't watched that, go ahead and go watch that. It's pretty good.
Yep.
Turns out a lot better for the Colts than you would expect, but
it's still
takes
a bit,
about 13 years to get used to it.
It still was a bit of an iffy decision.
A little bit. All right. And then Chargers at Jags. I was worried about how the Jags had played the previous game and barely won, and they looked really nervy. I didn't think if the Chargers could, if you did that against the Chargers, you'd come back. I was wrong. You can, apparently.
Yep.
I picked the Chargers. You picked the Jags. You were correct. I was wrong.
Let's go, Jags.
But barely, by a point. 31-30.
It was close. And to be fair, there were... We'll get into it in a little bit. But there were some mistakes the Chargers made, especially very late by a certain individual that made it easy for them to go.
You mean Joey Bosa and the fact that he had 3 penalties on him for misconduct?
Yeah, so I'll get into that a little bit, but Doug Peterson literally basically straight up said that if Joey hadn't pushed him closer for that 2-point conversion, they might not have gone for the 2 points.
They would not have.
And that's what allowed them to then win by a field goal, which is the 1 point they got, because they got the 2 points, and then they were then within.
They would have tied it otherwise. Yeah,
exactly. So that and looking back at Joey Bosa and why he was upset, I think I can understand why he's upset, but I'll get into that in a little bit. It's still, his reaction was still incredibly uncalled for.
Oh, he took responsibility for that. He took responsibility for that.
He has.
But he also said,
but
he did come out and lay waste to the reffing crew in that game.
Well,
here's the thing: with what he said, I would suspect there's a fine incoming.
Oh, there's gonna be a fine for him, 100%. Because the thing is, I can understand that he was upset with the refs, but I've gone back and I've watched some of those calls, and frankly, he wasn't gonna get them. Because there was only like 1 or 2 times that I could see where he was actually correct. But most of the other times, like, that he's supposedly claiming as poor reffing, was judgment calls that you could have gone one way or the other. And you know in the playoffs that they're going to let them play. They're going to more often let that go. So, Joey, I hate to tell you, my guy, calm your tits, play the fucking game. That's what you're paid to do. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like I said, I'll get more into it.
We'll get into that
later. But,
alrighty.
Yeah.
NFC. I do not want to do this.
This one hurt my soul.
All right, we'll start with an easy one.
Yeah.
Seahawks and Niners.
Stayed close.
The Niners. We were both close in the first half.
That's what I was gonna say. It stayed close in the first half.
Yeah. And then it wasn't close anymore.
Yeah.
And then the guy they are calling Big Cock Brock.
Big Cock Brock. So I'm convinced, based upon this game, you know what? No, I'm gonna hold what I'm gonna say. For another segment.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna hold that.
I agree. I'm sure I'm going to eat it entirely with fucking sour cream and onion and everything on it.
Load that bitch up.
Load that bitch up, because I'm 100% sure at this point that he's the guy you think should be the quarterback there isn't going to be the quarterback there anymore.
Right.
Or the guy they thought was going to be the quarterback there.
Very possible.
We're going to skip the next one on my list because I don't want to talk about it just yet.
That's fair.
So we'll go to Cowboys at Tampa. We both thought Tampa would beat the Cowboys because the Cowboys are so inconsistent, and the Cowboys came out and just flipping murdered.
So the Cowboys are inconsistent, and we were also banking on, Tom Brady in the playoffs. He's hard to bank against in the playoffs. Well, woo, that was bad.
That was ugly. That was ugly.
I think, didn't the Cowboys shut them out for the entire first half?
Yes. They had no points in the first half. It was bad.
Well, I'll say this: this is the thing we were talking about with the Cowboys, though. They'll either play really bad like they did the week prior, or they're going to come in and smack the shit out of the Bucs. And unfortunately, we lost that 50-50 coin toss. They came in and smacked the shit out of the Bucs.
Now we have to get to the one that hurts our soul.
Oh God!
Giants at Vikings.
The thing is,
we both thought the Vikings had that game.
The thing is, if you look back at it, it's actually like an interesting game in some ways, because if you look at the Vikings and how they've won by like one score, they get blown out, right? This is one of those rare circumstances where the offense was playing mostly well enough, or mostly what we expected. Defense played absolutely abysmal, which is exactly what we expected, and yet still lost. So it was one of the weird, rare times where we actually lost, even though our offense did okay. So it was the weird outlier this season. However, there was a lot of problems, some of which I'm going to hold until we get to probably Vikings Corner, to be honest. I think most of it I'm going to talk about Vikings.
We'll talk about Chuck Down Kirk and Vikings Corner.
By the way, I could not find the stats that I wanted, but I did find I found corroborating evidence through Rich Eisen and a couple of other people that have said that this is a major problem for Kirk in the past. So
yeah, he gets antsy in the pocket, doesn't want to take that hit, and checks down too early.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be a problem. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Vikings Corner.
I don't want to talk about it here. Look. All you need to know is the Vikings
Listen,
lost.
if you want to watch us get depressed, just skip to fucking Vikings Corner.
Just skip to Vikings Corner this week. And we're gonna get depressed.
If you want to see us get depressed, it's gonna be at the very end of this damn show.
Oh, Jesus. I am not looking forward to that shit.
I am not either. I don't even want to talk about the game. I mean, I'll say this. Good on Brian Dable. You got the Giants. You made them look good. Danny Jones made... Man, I would say that he looked good, but to be fair, I think the Vikings defense made him look good. Not that Danny Jones is a bad QB, but when looking back at that...
He hasn't looked consistent yet.
He hasn't looked that good before. Let's put it that way.
No, this is the first season where I've looked at him and gone, okay.
Now, if they can pull that kind of same performance out of him in their next game, then we're talking a real resurgence. But until then, I'm just going to lay it on the Vikings defense for playing like shit.
Oh, I don't blame you. Okay.
Do we want to do predictions then? Or do you got more to
Yeah,
talk
let's
about?
just go straight into predictions. Move over to the AFC. So this week... Alrighty. The Chiefs... or actually, pardon. Let me see here. Who was the low team that won this
I
week?
already got it pulled up. They already got the schedule. I got it.
Alright, what do you got?
Very first game on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. That is Jaguars versus the Chiefs.
That's right. It was the Jags and Chiefs.
Yep.
Okay,
Who you
look.
taking? Who you taking, my guy?
Look. The Jags had a massively good comeback against the Bolts. There's no way they're doing that against the fucking Chiefs.
You're right. They're not making a comeback against the Chiefs. That's correct.
They're not even going to lead against the Chiefs.
Yes, they are.
It's
They're going to win.
Chiefs. No, you're on fucking drugs. You're on fucking drugs.
Damn right I am. I'm taking the Jags.
You go ahead and take the Jags. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Listen, I'm allowed one crazy. All right, I thought about doing two crazy, but I'm doing the one crazy.
If you're allowed a crazy, I'm gonna take a crazy.
I was gonna do two crazies, but I thought that was too crazy, so I went with one crazy.
All right, I've got one crazy too.
All right, we got our next Saturday game at 7:15 p.m. Central Time. That is Giants versus the Eagles.
Okay, you're going back and forth. Hold on.
I'm going based upon the schedule, which is
yeah. But I have them separated by NFC and AFC.
I'm going by the schedule. Sorry.
Giants at Eagles. Okay, this is my crazy. Giants, bitch.
This is the one that I thought about doing the other crazy on, but I just am not convinced that the Giants are going to beat the Eagles. Here's the thing. I would love to see the Giants beat the Eagles just because that they are now the underdog story of the NFC, and it's kind of interesting to watch. And they have proven success at winning playoff games as an underdog in the past.
Does this not look like their Super Bowl winning seasons?
So I'm not saying that you're that crazy. I can understand it. But the Eagles are just so good. And let's be honest, that defense is so much better than our defense was. I think Danny Jones is going to look a little rougher. And I think they're going to have a hard time keeping up with that explosive offense with Jalen Hurts. So I do have to take the Eagles on that. But I can understand why someone would choose the Giants.
All right, what you got next?
Okay, for the first Sunday game at 2 p.m., we have Bengals versus Bills.
I do not want to pick in this game.
I mean, I'm just going to straight up say it. I'm a Joe Burrow fan, so I'm taking the Bengals. I think the Bills are vulnerable, especially if Josh Allen's going to keep throwing fucking picks like that.
You know what? I'm going to go with you on this one. As odd as the Bengals, as rough as they looked against Baltimore, I think if Joe Burrow's going to keep throwing picks like that and throwing 50-50 balls, it's going to be
Josh,
Josh Allen, because Joe Burrow's a much better quarterback. Joe Burrow doesn't throw those kinds of balls. He's very much more careful with the thing.
And what I'll say with the Bengals that is weird, like I can understand why you say it's weird, but if you think about it from the standpoint that from what I've seen, is that the Bengals tend to play to the caliber of opponent. So maybe that's a shot at the Ravens. You can say it is, but the Ravens did not play well this season in general. The Bengals have beaten harder opponents than the Ravens before. And to be honest, this is looking like the Bengals of last year, where they had a rough start, and then everything came together at the end, and they're kind of doing the same thing again. So it's hard not to ignore that. So that's my reasoning.
Very true. We'll see.
Then we got the final game of Sunday at 5:30, which is Cowboys versus the 49ers. I'm not even going to let this sink or think for a second. Fuck the Cowboys. 49ers win.
Yeah,
Rock
I'm with
the
you.
cock.
There's too much. Like, the Cowboys came out and demolished a very weak Tampa Bay team.
They did.
Even
if the Cowboys come out and play well and don't play like a stinker game, I still think the 49ers end up winning.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a better defense. They have a better offense.
They have a much better offense. They have way more weapons on both sides of the ball. Trying to figure out who you're going to cover and win. Purdy is a great thrower, and then their defense is going to be all over you all game. Do not expect to have time to throw the ball like you did against Tampa.
Nope.
You won't find that kind of success against them.
No. They
are going to obliterate and annihilate you, and it is not going to be fun. Joey Bosa's brother Nick is going to be in your backfield and hanging all over you all game long.
Exactly.
Just get ready to see him back there.
I'd argue Nick is a better player than Joey.
I would too. I think Nick is better than Joey personally.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
That's just me too. I agree with that.
So yeah, no, they're gonna be all over you all game. I don't think you have a chance in hell.
No.
But that's just me. Maybe you guys show up a good showing, but your run game is looking suspect. You didn't score. The only ground touchdown you scored was via Dak Prescott. You didn't. Your running game has not been that great. They're going to shut down your passing game. They're going to force you out of the pocket. I think it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, I think
it's going to get ugly.
I think it'll be probably a close game because the Cowboys can't afford for it to be a stinker.
No, they absolutely can't afford for that to be in any way, shape, or form a stinky game.
But
they don't have the ability to.
I just don't see them ultimately winning. Could they win? Yeah. But the 49ers would have to play a really bad game for that to happen.
Absolutely. The 49ers would have to play like crap.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen. I think the 49ers are going to pull that out. I'd love to see the Giants-Niners. But you know what? It's deep in my soul. Wouldn't mind watching the Giants-Cowboys for the NFC title. Just because there's some sort of catharsis there.
Yeah, that would
be weird, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I think the odds of that happening is pretty small.
I think so, too. Frankly, I think it'll I want to see Giants Niners, but it'll probably be Eagles Niners.
Probably be Eagles Niners, which would still be a fun matchup. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All right. What do we want to move on to from here?
I don't really know. It's getting shorter because we have
less games.
Games, and we don't have power rankings. Yeah. By the way, how are you coming with your season end power rankings?
Oh man, the top 15 are like the easiest, and everything after that gets really complicated really fast, except for like the bottom two.
Except for like for me, it's like the bottom 5. Or
yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like the bottom couple is pretty easy. Your top 10, top 15 is pretty simple, but it's that weird middle ground.
Else is just like, no.
Yeah, it's that weird middle ground.
Maybe you. Here, flip a coin.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally get that. We don't have any power rankings left. Nope.
I guess hot potato would be the next.
We could do a hot potato if you were into that.
We can do a hot potato, go move into Dante's Inferno, and then if we have anything to talk about before Vikings Corner.
I have a confession to make.
Oh, okay.
While I was prepping everything, and while I had time to prep, and I totally forgot that I hadn't prepped anything for Dante's or hot potatoes, so now I'm gonna have to make it up on the fucking fly.
Oh, welcome to my land.
So I'm gonna be like you today, motherfucker.
I come up with loose ideas, and then and then some of them I'm like, okay.
I don't even have loose ideas right now.
See, I got a couple.
I got a couple of loose ideas, but
Fair enough. We're gonna be loosey goosey today.
Roll the shoulders here.
There might be some cutting that I end up doing on the floor of this one.
We'll see. We'll fucking see. You want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
I think if I let you go first, you're gonna steal my first. So
I very well fucking might.
So I think I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead.
Maybe Brock Purdy has earned his starting job.
I wasn't going to steal that one, but I will fully load that and eat that motherfucker.
Because the thing is, the implication then means that the 49ers moved up to get Trey Lance at the 3rd overall pick, and you're going to go with Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant in that draft.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to be straight honest with you. Sometimes shit happens that
Sometimes
you can't
it does.
control, and you just gotta roll with what life gives you.
And I'll say this: it sucks for Trey Lance because this was supposed to be his season, and then he got injured, and then they had to roll with Garoppolo for a while, who then got injured, and then that put in Brock, and it's just one of those situations where if you're Trey Lance, you saw this potentially as your team, but now it's not anymore. So now you gotta be looking at, okay, what can I do to make myself look good to possibly move to another organization.
Exactly. And being that there is a couple of organizations that might want to trade for you, and I will throw a team out there that probably will need a quarterback. It's going to be Tampa Bay. They might come calling to the 49ers land to see if Trey Lance would be available, or Garoppolo, maybe both.
Garoppolo.
I don't think.
I would be happy. I'd be really happy if the Vikings gave a call to get Trey Lance, but I doubt it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to happen at all.
I'd be really happy about it, though.
I would be, too. I think Trey Lance would fit in Kevin O'Connell's system quite well, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, he's a slightly mobile... He's a fairly mobile QB who can also improvise quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the type of O'Connell's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he'd do really well here.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story.
Saints,
No.
The Saints could be up an option.
The Saints could.
I completely forgot about them for a while.
Yeah. No. Well, pretty easy to forget about the Saints.
This year specifically, yeah.
Yeah, this year specifically, yeah. You know what? I'm going to stick in the same vein that you're in, but I'm going to go with another quarterback.
Okay.
Maybe Caleb Huntley has earned himself a starting job somewhere.
I'm not going to eat that potato. I like Huntley. I don't like him that much. He's inconsistent. He has games where he looks amazing, and then he has other games where he's throwing balls in the dirt. This season has been better, and I'll give him credit for getting better. I'm just not convinced he's a starting caliber QB unless it's for, like, a team that's in transition.
Or for a team that desperately needs a quarterback because
that's
all of their options are bad. Like the Jets.
Yeah, he could go to the Jets and he'd be better than what they have.
And that's my point. Or Tampa and be better than what they're going to have behind Tom.
But I would say that would also still be transitional. He wouldn't stay a Jets QB for more than a year or two. Like, that's what I'm saying, is that he's still...
Potentially, but...
I wouldn't say he's earned, like, a full franchise QB title. Put it that way.
Okay.
Potentially starting somewhere, maybe, but I kind of doubt it.
That's why I didn't say that he's a franchise. I just said that he's potentially earned himself a starting QB job, maybe.
I'm still not sure, though. I still don't think there's too many teams who would still bite on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally.
Yep. Nope, I understand.
I think he's an amazing backup to have, though. No questions. All right. My next one. I know you're going to eat this potato, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways because I'm sad and I want to say something that makes me feel validated. Maybe Kirk Cousins should just fucking retire?
Oh, I'll eat the shit out of that. Yeah. I know you're sad. And I know you want to. I know you want to feel better. But check down Kirk. We'll get to fucking check down Kirk later on. Definitely didn't see Kirk 5 chains in that game. You saw check down Kirk.
You saw check down Kirk that game.
You saw check down Kirk. Sorry.
God.
But who cares? Fucking is.
If he
He's
retired,
not going to.
It'd be so nice. Not even like trade him, but if you could somehow get him to retire, then that also clears up cap space. It would be so nice.
Cap space. Oh. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's a pipe dream.
No, we're going to have him next year, and I'm going to cry myself to sleep every night.
Yeah. All right. What other ones can I come up with off the top of my head?
Oh, I got a good last one when you got yours.
Maybe Dak Prescott isn't overrated?
Is or isn't?
Is not.
Is he overrated?
Because you also have to look at it. And I live in Texas, and all I hear is people jumping down Dak's throat about how he's an overhyped, overrated guy that Jerry paid too much for.
So here's the thing. I'm going to lightly eat that potato, only because I don't think he's overrated, but I do think he's overpaid. And that doesn't mean necessarily the same thing. A lot of people will equate that to mean the same thing. That doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. I think Dak is a really good, solid QB. I think he's an above average. I wouldn't label him a star, but I would label him as above average, and I would say he's definitely in the top 10 of QBs playing at the moment easily. Now, I think he's paid as if he's like a top 5, top 3 guy, and he shouldn't be getting paid that. But that's Jerry Jones, and that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Jerry's got no problems writing out checks.
No. So, I think that's my stance on that. I don't think he's overrated, but I do think he's overpaid.
That makes some sense.
My last one's for... I think you're going to eat it, but it's going to be fun.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Maybe Derek Carr will be the most sought-after free agent of the offseason. Think about all the teams that need QBs.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm thinking about.
Think about how many of them... Ah!
Here's why. Why. Because I don't think he's going to be the only quarterback on the fucking market.
I know that, but I still think he'll be more sought after than other QBs. Unless you're thinking that Lamar's going to be on the field.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
And
the more and more I'm looking at it.
And while I understand that, but from my perspective, the reason why I put Derek Carr over Lamar isn't because I think he's a better QB. It's because he won't be as expensive as Lamar.
Okay, that may be true, but that's still not going to stop the teams that really need a quarterback from going after Lamar first.
I think a lot of teams.
Now, if you had said Derek Carr is going to be the best bargain somebody's going to find on the free agent market this year, I'd totally eat that.
I think he's just going to be the most sought after, just in the simple terms of there's going to be more teams who are going to put their hat into that ring of trying to get Derek Carr
because they have a better chance of getting him. That's entirely possible. I could go with that, but to me, sought after means you're the big fish on the market, and I think the big fish is going to be either Lamar or maybe Brady.
That's fair. Well, I think the Brady one isn't going to be as big as people expect, because I think it's going to be pretty clear.
I only think there's going to be one or two teams that are serious in contention for him anyway.
If Lamar goes out in the free agency, there will be plenty of teams who will like, hey, can I just poke that bear and see what happens? But I think there'll be more.
You know where I'd laugh if he wound up, just because.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him in purple, wouldn't it? Like an actual purple.
I love it, but that's never going to happen. I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if he wound up at the Jets?
Jets would be funny. Actually, hear me out on this. Texans.
And then you use your second overall pick to grab a big-name wide receiver, and maybe you placate Brandon Cook so that he wants to stay around.
Yeah.
Not a horrible call, and they have the cap space for it. So.
They do. And out of all the teams that he could go to, if you think about it, there's not too many others that would be actually more enticing.
Not really. Nope, but that does make some sense, yes.
Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but...
I would be surprised if it happens.
That's right. You have one more hot potato.
I have one more. You know what? I'm gonna throw this one at you just because it's fucking insane. I don't think you're gonna eat it, but it's insane, and I want to do it.
Okay.
Maybe the Detroit Lions are gonna win the NFC North next year.
You know, that's actually not a bad one.
I was just gonna go with make the playoffs, but I was like, no, that's too easy.
If it was playoffs, I would absolutely eat that. I think I'm not going to eat the potato only because I have to see how their offseason goes before I'm convinced of what they're going to do next season. But this season's definitely looked promising, and they're going to be a really hard team next year. So I could actually see that being true.
Let me tell you, I am not, as a guy who's got to play in the NFC North, whose team plays in the NFC North, I am not looking forward to having to play Aiden Hutchinson twice a year.
No. On top, I mean, at least At least we're not going to have to contend with the Packers for a while.
I think they're on their way down for a little while.
Yep.
But that, you know what? You guys were on top of the NFC North for a very long time. Tom Grossi and your fans, enjoy your run. It's over now.
Unless Jordan Love somehow is the next Brett Favre again.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think you guys are going to be fair to middling for a little while, and then you're going to have to sink into the depths of and suck for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
And
you're going to have to watch all of your competition look better than you for a while, and it's going to hurt your soul.
We're going to have to watch both Chicago and Detroit look good for a while.
Yeah. Well, Chicago's still a little bit further off, I think, depending on how the draft
seasons,
is.
But
the Detroit Lions is right here.
There.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. As a Vikings fan, and obviously, we've had our ups and downs. The funny thing is, we haven't been like Lions or Bears bad in a while. Like even if we go back to when we had Christian Ponder as our QB, we still had good seasons because we had Adrian Peterson. So
let me see what I can ponder.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, he did not work out at all.
No. And you know the guy that always made me laugh because I thought he should have been way better than he was. Who's that guy we had from UCF? Dante, was it Culpepper? It was Culpepper.
Yeah.
Dante
Culpepper did really good, but they had
and that was the funny thing that I was about to bring up. He would have an MVP season.
Yeah.
And then he would have an absolute horseshit dog shit season.
Yeah.
And then he would have a pretty middling season. And then he'd have an MVP season again.
Yeah, I mean,
he was the
definitely
most maddeningly frustrating, inconsistent motherfucker on the planet.
And then when he left the Vikings, he just kind of phased out.
Yeah, totally.
So Culpepper, I think the thing is, I always put him as in the overrated department because a lot of people be like, "Oh my God, he's one of the best QBs we've had in a long time." And while he had good seasons, look at the players he played with and tell me that again. Great, he can throw the ball really far. Pretty easy to do when you know Randy Moss is going to catch the fucking ball.
Yeah. To me, one of the better QBs that we had in a long while.
He was terrible at reading defenses, but he had a cannon for an arm. That's what made him good.
the guy that I liked, you're going to laugh at me for liking, but he was the quarterback that I kind of, when I got back into football, was the Vikings quarterback. That was Brad Johnson.
I mean, he wasn't a bad QB.
No, he was average.
No, he wasn't a great QB. He was very average, yeah.
Oh, I'll say, but he has a stat that I don't think anybody else can claim.
Which one would that be?
He threw a touchdown pass to himself.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, accidentally, but he did. I think other people have actually done it since then. I think there's like one or two others I think I remember hearing about.
It's a rare stat, though.
But it is a very rare stat, yeah.
I watched that game happen, by the way. I was watching that game live against Jacksonville, back when they had Fred Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. He literally threw the ball, they batted it at the line, he wound up catching it, since the ball left his hands, traveled in the air, got batted, it was a throw, and then he caught it, and then ran around the line and wound up scoring from like 10 or 15 yards out.
Yep.
It wasn't a scramble. It was complete accident, complete utter garbage. But he is credited with a touchdown throw to himself.
Pretty much, yeah. Kind of funny.
So he both threw and received a touchdown on the same play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we should move on probably to Dante's Inferno now at this point.
Yeah, I think we should move on to Dante's
Inferno.
Inferno at this point.
Showers.
Dante's Inferno.
And then after the showers, we do probably
Hockey Corner.
Probably Hockey Corner. We'll end probably with Vikings Corner at the very end.
Vikings Corner, Hockey Corner, and then some game balls.
Oh yeah, game balls. We'll do game balls right after the Vikings Corner after we get all depressed.
We'll do Hockey Corner, and then we'll do Vikings Corner, and then we'll throw out some game balls and feel better about ourselves.
Feel better, exactly.
Although one of my game balls isn't going to make us feel better about ourselves.
No, probably not. Neither is any of mine, pretty much. So.
All right, guys. All right, so Dante's Inferno. I'm also going to tell you I didn't do anything for the Inferno, so
that's fine.
I'm going to make this up as I go along.
That's totally fine. I'll go first then.
Go ahead.
Joey Bosa, my guy. You're sitting at a 10, and only at a 10 because you didn't punch anybody or beat anybody up or nothing like that. But you did make a critical error in a critical moment that allowed Jacksonville to win. You can't be getting all heated because you think the refs aren't playing fair. And even in that case, I can understand being frustrated. Wait until you get off of the field before you start having a temper tantrum. At the bare minimum, like, get off the field first.
100%. 100%. I'm looking up a name because I don't know who it fucking was, but I gotta find out.
By the way, I was hinting at my next person when I said you didn't throw any punches.
I didn't watch enough of the games to know if anybody did throw punches.
Ooh, yeah.
Was it that bad?
Guy should have probably gotten ejected.
Okay, well. All right. Who actually? Tyler Huntley.
Really?
I think we've been saying Caleb Huntley. It was Tyler Huntley.
Tyler, yeah.
As much as I've been a fan of yours, Tyler Huntley, you're at a 10, my dude. You fumbled the ball on the 2-yard line.
That was a bad one, yeah.
And it goes 98 yards the other way to seal the game.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
You gotta hold on to it, my guy. You gotta hold on to the ball.
Yeah, it was on top of that. You gotta hold on to it, but why are you trying to reach across the goal line 2 yards out, man? You're trying to do a QB sneak, not jump over the pile. You're not a big guy for that.
Yeah, you're not Lamar.
Heck, Lamar couldn't even do that. Lamar's too short to do that. He still would have QB sneaked it in. Like, the only people that can do a jump over the line play like that are big dudes like Trevor Lawrence
Josh Allen
or Josh Allen, yeah.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, you have to be a tall dude to reach over the line like that and get enough over to get that call. Like, you're just not that guy. You're just not.
No, you're not. Absolutely not.
But yeah, no, that's a fair one. I agree with that one.
It's only a 10. You did cost your team the game, but
yeah,
you
played well mostly. You just had the one really bad mistake.
You had a gaff.
Sitting at 3. I don't remember the guy's first name. I had it up on my phone, but I can't find it now. I know his last name's Peters. For the Ravens, punched the Bengals when they were on the floor in the nuts. Punched them right in the nuts.
Ori, maybe.
I thought it was like Nate Peters or Nathan Peters or something like that, but I might be wrong. Either way, played very aggressively early on, way aggressively, and then ended up punching one of the guys in the nuts when they were both on the ground. The fact a ref didn't even penalize it really, or even disqualified, is ridiculous. You don't throw hands in a football game. Period. End of story. You don't punch somebody. I don't care if you're upset about something. You don't punch somebody. You just don't. And the fact that you did it is ridiculous, and I know you'll get fined because people are going to see it because it's all over fucking Twitter. If you look for it, you can easily find it. It's very clear that he does what he does. The fact he didn't get ejected tells me that the refs probably didn't see it. But you're going to get fined. It's all over social media, my guy. And you can't be playing like that at all. It's just not acceptable.
Okay. Also at about, I'm going to throw him in at about a 4. Byron Leftwich, offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My dude, whatever game you called, that sucked. That was bad.
That was bad.
Look, I don't know what's going on, but it's pretty clear to me that whatever you thought you could do, you can't. So,
yeah.
Is all I'm going to say. My dude, you're probably going to find yourself on the unemployment line.
Potentially.
However,
not far away.
Thankfully, it looks like the Chargers need a new offensive coordinator.
That's true. That's true. All right. I'm also putting one at a number 4. Kirk Cousins, you're sitting at a 4, my guy. You had an atrocious game. You had moments that were good, don't get me wrong, but you made a lot of obvious mental mistakes and obvious mental errors, ones that you didn't make as often during the regular season. It's clear that pressure gets you, and frankly, the stat line of you having troubles in big games continues to be true, and that's incredibly concerning. And for a franchise QB, the fact people are still putting up with that shit's ridiculous. And so it should be partly on the GM, it should be partly on the owners for keeping you around. But the fact that you still can't fix it, and you still can't figure it out, and you can't still get out of your own way, you're sitting at a 4. It hurts.
It does.
Because the worst part is I'm not wrong and it hurts.
You're not. I wish you were, but you're not. No. Do I want to throw anybody else under the metaphorically under the bus right now? Trying to think of the games that all happened, and like, I'm sitting here going through shit in my head.
I mean, I was originally going to throw Brandon Staley in here again, but I was like, yeah, he somehow kept his job, so I guess...
I want to do that too, but you know what? I'm going to throw somebody else in here. I'm just going to throw the entire Chargers organization in here right now. You're in here at about a 5, motherfuckers. How do you blow a 27-point lead to a team you picked off 3 times in a quarter is fucking unknown to me, okay? Yeah. Guys, you're on fire. You got to figure out what you're doing.
Well, not even just that. The fact that they kept their coach around still.
You're keeping Brandon Staley while you have a dude like Sean Payton available.
Yeah.
And you're just going to fire the OC and the quarterback's coach. Dude, you're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You are absolutely turning into the Vancouver fucking Canucks. Yeah. This is not good. This is not good.
Let's put it this way. When you want to win Super Bowls, good enough is not good enough.
Exactly.
Like, I hate to be that guy. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, good enough is not good enough.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm going to throw the whole organization in there right now. Y'all need to fucking figure yourselves out.
Yeah. It's almost like they're like, well, we won, we got playoffs, good enough. No, it's not.
Good enough for government work isn't good enough to win Super Bowls, buddy.
Nope. It's not good enough, guys. You should be always trying to achieve getting the Super Bowl. Now I can understand, like, if you're rebuilding, you're going, hey, this is a good upward trajectory. We rebuilt, and we're starting to get things together.
If you were on a full-on rebuild,
then yeah, that's good enough.
This would be a good season. Yeah,
but you're not. You rebuilt already. You already rebuilt. You got your franchise QB. You got good wide receivers. You got a decent backfield. Your defense isn't bad. What the fuck's going wrong?
Well, also to be fair, Mike Williams was out.
True. But they obviously
still at a
that's what I'm saying. That you have all of the necessary parts, even when someone's injured, to still win football games, and you still don't win football games. Something's wrong. That tells you it's not the players on the field that's the problem. Something else is wrong.
Chargers gonna Charger.
Chargers gonna Charger, man.
All right. What do we want to do now?
Hit the showers.
So you want to do a hit the showers real quick?
Yeah, we'll just go.
All right. Kirk Cousins, hit the fucking showers.
Damn it, you got there first.
I got there first.
Fuck. Ed Donatel, hit the showers.
Fucking yeah.
Do you got another one? You got another angry one?
I have another one.
Yeah,
Tom Brady, hit the showers.
Nice. I agree with that one. I definitely agree with that. Brian Leftwich, hit the fucking showers.
I agree with that one. Like, Joey Bosa, hit the showers.
Oh, yeah, that one's another good one. That one's a really good one. Ooh. Who's the last one I want to do? Thinking. Brandon Staley, hit the showers, my guy.
You deserve it. Fuck you.
Yeah, for real. Like, you should be actually getting your walk-in orders, and the fact that you're not is ridiculous.
You should be getting
at the bare minimum, take a really fucking cold shower.
Oh, dude. Because your seat is on fire. If you have another stinker like that next season, you're done.
Oh, you're definitely done. Yeah. All right. Now that we're done with that.
Want to do a hockey corner real quick?
Yeah, let's hit the hockey. I don't want to talk about the Vikings yet.
So,
oh, God.
I promised we were going to talk about Gary Bettman, and I'm going to push that off a week because everything's been so depressing. I don't want to rant about Gary Bettman. Instead, I want to have a debate with you.
Oh, okay.
This is something I think you can keep up with.
Okay, I will certainly try. I don't have a lot of hockey knowledge, but I'll try.
No, this is an easy hockey knowledge one.
Okay.
Though. And you should be able to keep up with me. The question that I have is what's more important and makes a player the greatest of all time? Goals, assists, or both? And here's why I ask this. Before we start debating, The current guy that I would call the greatest of all time is, of course, the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky, yeah.
Played 1,487 games, scored 894 goals, currently leads in goals. 1,963 assists. Yeah, he leads that too. For 2,857 points. Yeah, he leads there too.
Yeah.
And the reason this is a big deal is because currently there's a guy that you may have heard of named Alexander Ovechkin, who has played 1,319 games, has 810 goals, 649 assists for 1,459 points. He is on pace to pass Gretzky's goal-scoring record. However, there's another gentleman, drafted right around the same time, and they cannot help but be compared to one another, named Sidney Crosby. He has played 1,151 games because he missed a couple of seasons due to injuries, concussions, other problems. He has 538 goals, 920 assists for 1,458 points.
Okay.
So at the end of their careers, who's going to be considered the greatest?
Well, I don't know who would be considered the greatest, but I will say that when it comes to comparing who's the greatest player, you have to weigh both. Like, you can't just say goals is more important than assists, and you can't obviously say assists is more important than goals. Both is important to have. And I think that there is no one who would actually legitimately argue with me on that. I think there might be some people who be like, but goals, bleh! Fine.
I'll take that stance then, just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
In order to win hockey games, what do you have to do?
Yeah,
you have to put the puck in the fucking net.
You do. The base minimum is that you do need to put the puck in the net. However, it doesn't just have to be you that's doing it. If you want to be a good team player or a good team, sometimes you have to realize that, hey, maybe I'm the person that they're thinking about the most, trying to cover me, right? Well, if I can throw it off to somebody else and I give them the chance to goal score, I'll still get the assist. It still looks good for me either way. I think it's very clear that if you're going to be a good team player who wants good teammates around him, you have to not be you don't want to be a Michael Jordan. You don't want to be a ball hog. You can still be considered one of the greats if you do so, but you might not be considered the best of all time, right? Like, you have to have both. You have to be considered a good teammate who's willing to pass it off to somebody else who can score it because you want to win games. And if you're getting covered so badly that you can't goal score properly, then you need to know when you can pass it off, right? You need to be able to rely on the rest of your team to play well. Now, granted, maybe you're on a bad team. Maybe you're the only good player and you trust nobody else, so you're just going to do the one scoring all the goals. That's fine, I guess, but people are going to then look at it and go, well, why do you have less assists? It looks like you're being kind of a hog, a puck hog, right? You're not really letting anybody else play well, and then no one's going to want to play with you because you're not willing to play as a team player, right?
Now, I will point out, Ovechkin and Crosby do play different positions.
Yeah.
Ovechkin is a winger, Crosby is a center.
Right.
A winger's job is to score goals.
Right.
That's their entire position. And the way Ovechkin does it is mystifying to me.
Right.
If you ever watch him play, you'll see a break, you'll see them push the puck into the zone, and then you'll see the number 8 skate lazily over to one side, over on the one side of the goalie over here. Nobody anywhere around him. It's like he has the mental power to convince the other team that he's invisible.
Right.
Nobody within 5 feet of him on the ice. And you'll see the stick will just go up in the air. And as soon as it goes up, there's a puck coming his way, and he's going to cannon that sucker right by someone. You're not stopping that shot.
Right.
So yeah, no, the grade 8 is a great way of doing it. Sydney's a lot flashier. He's got some brilliant moves and some great backhand plays, and I will point out he's 1 point shy of Ovechkin, having played like 160 less games than him.
Right.
So,
like I said, I think you do need both to be considered one of the greats, right? Technically, you can be a great goal scorer, but does that make you a great all-around player? there's a difference, right? If you're going to be considered the GOAT, you have to have all attributes. That's what a
now,
GOAT
I
is.
will say,
you know,
to me, both of these guys are going on the Hall of Fame.
There's no question
absolutely
about that.
no question about it.
Yeah, I'm not going
they
to
both
argue
deserve
that.
it.
Yeah.
I will say that I did the math. I worked out the math. When Ovechkin, if he plays as long as Gretzky did, and he gets to 1,487 games, he will have 910 goals.
Right. Yeah.
So he will pass Gretzky eventually. He might, and depending on how long he plays, he might push that goal total out of logical range for anybody to ever be able to threaten it.
Right. And that's totally okay. And he's definitely going to be considered as one of the greats. I don't think there's questions about that. I don't think any of them would be considered not great in their own way, for sure. But when you're going to try to argue for greatest of all time, well, now you're going to have to get into the very... This is when the argument gets away from me, because you start having to look at the very minutia, the very small details. And then at that point, you're not looking at just how many points did they get, how many goals did they score, how many assists did they have. You're getting down to the details.
Because how many other people did they play with that are also Hall of Fame caliber players?
Exactly.
And Gretzky, I'm going to say this. Gretzky in the 80s, those Oilers teams...
Yeah.
Mark Messier, and there were a bunch of people on those teams. There's like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on that team.
Now, to be fair, some people might even argue, though, that that's not a fair comparison, too, because I've heard that argument with Tom Brady, right? He's always got good talent around him. Well, so is that fair to say that he's a GOAT when he's got that much talent around him all the damn time? And
I've heard that.
And I was going to say, and here's how the combat to that is going, well, if you're that good of a team player, if you're that good of a player, you're going to attract other star talent to want to play with you.
Now, the thing I was going to say was also, I wondered how much of it might be a Belichick system, and Brady was a system quarterback, and then he went to Tampa Bay and he won a Super Bowl, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'm done having that debate.
Yeah.
So for me, Gretzky went to the Kings, got traded, and that's where the statement, by the way, if you guys have never heard this, you'll hear it eventually. Wayne Gretzky got traded so anyone can get traded.
Right.
Absolutely. 100%.
Which is true. It's absolutely true, yeah.
Absolutely true. You cannot make that up. Went to the Kings, still had good stats. I don't think he never led them to a Stanley Cup, but he tried. He also then played for the Blues and I believe the Rangers before his career was over. So,
I believe so, yeah.
He played a lot of different places and put up good numbers pretty much wherever he went, except with the Blues, really. He didn't, but that was like at the very end of a season, and yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think what's going to be the most telling about how good a player is when you can do what a LeBron does. I still like Michael Jordan over LeBron in a one-on-one, but when you're LeBron and you can get traded to a team that sucks, and then you can go there and make it look fucking amazing, and you've done that more than once, it's hard to not go, okay, he is definitely one of the greats of all time.
Mm-hmm. And I can agree with that.
So...
I mean, statistic-wise, I may not 100% agree.
Yeah,
but...
it's like the Tom Brady. You're like, he can make the Patriots look amazing. He went to the Bucks. He made them look amazing. If he does go to the Raiders and make them look amazing, again, he's just cementing that legacy of, no, exactly. I am that good.
Exactly.
So the same thing for all hockey players. If you want to be shown to be that good, sometimes you need to go to a shittier team and make them look good.
I mean, Peyton Manning, too.
Peyton Manning, yeah. Colts, Broncos. Yeah.
Colts, Broncos. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's definitely proof in that pudding.
Yep, so, I agree. But that's my Hockey Corner. Next week I will do a Gary Bettman rant. I've been trying to find league revenues, and they're harder to come across than I want to.
That's not surprising. They sometimes make that purposely hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to know.
What I can tell you is that when when Bettman took office as the league commissioner, Major League Baseball was on a strike. NBA was a definitive. They weren't nearly as big as they are now.
No.
And the NFL was the top of the top of the pops.
Yeah.
But you had baseball was 2, and they were falling off, and hockey had been 3. They were in position to take the number 2 slot and got leapfrogged by basketball.
Yep. And then
so they continued to increase revenue.
I was going to say, not only did they get leapfrogged, but they actually fell. I would say that they're number 4 easily.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would say baseball
came back.
Yeah. And I would say baseball is actually number 3. I think basketball actually has continued to hold that reign.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
But when you look at league revenues, they've gone up.
Yeah.
He's continued to make the owners money. But I would say that he's lost the money because they should have made more than they have.
They should have made even more money, yeah.
And that's going to be, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be the argument I make.
Right. That's fair.
So, all right. We must now depress ourselves. As soon as you're done blowing your bird.
Okay. I guess if we gotta. Okay.
Vikings Corner.
We'll talk Vikings Corner. Okay, do you want to start or should I start? How do you want to do this?
Kirk, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was bad. 4-13. And you dump it off on a check down.
Look, I get what he was trying to say because he said it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It worked in the past. But yeah, your guy wasn't immediately covered in the past. Yeah. Like, you had some leeway for him to build up some steam to run someone over. You didn't have that this time.
On top of that,
look, you said JJ was covered. You didn't feel comfortable with it. Motherfucker, you threw it up at a fucking Bills game, and he came down with it with people hanging all over him. How do you not feel...
Yeah, exactly. And in that game, he was double coverage, too, by the way.
Yes!
I hate to tell you, Kirk, you're just fucking wrong, my guy. You made a mistake, and you're not even trying to own up to it. You're trying to make excuses.
Yeah,
you fucked up.
Excuses.
You fucked up.
I'd be less angry. Excuse me. Popcorn in the throat.
No, you're good.
I'd be less angry and less pissed off at you if you came out and you said, I got nervous and I threw the ball away and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You fucked up,
Just
my
come
guy.
on. That's all you need to say. My fault. I made the wrong read.
Yeah.
I got nervous in the pocket. I felt like they were going to hit me and I didn't feel like I had a lot of time. I threw the ball short. I could have gone longer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad. I fucked up.
And the thing is, people are going to be like, well, it's just one play. It's not fair to lambaste him for one play. You're right. It was just one play. But the problem is he did that continuously throughout the entire game. It wasn't the only...
He's done it throughout his career, too. That's the problem.
He has done it throughout his career. And this is where I'll give some praise, specifically to KOC, who knew Kirk Cousins. If you noticed, during the regular season, he more often would make those risky plays, a.k.a. the Bills game. During the regular season, he would more often make those kinds of plays. Yeah, there were a couple really bad sticker games that happened here and there, but the record shows that the reason why we were winning those close games is because he was more willing to make those risky passes. This game, clearly, I think, again, and I think the other games actually might be true, too. I'd have to look back at them. But it's clear he wasn't willing to make those risky plays because something rattled him, or he got concerned with the late game, or you got overpressured. I don't know what it is, but there clearly seems to be some type of mental block that he has with big pressure games, or something happens that puts a lot of pressure on him, and then he all of a sudden has issues.
Panics.
Yeah. Is it always true?
Attack.
Is it always true? No. But I would say more often than not, which is definitely true by the record of it. I think it's like, what is it, like 3 and 20 some games like that are major pressure games he fucking loses. Like, there's a point where you have to look at it and go, this isn't a coincidence. You have a problem. There's a reason why he was known before this game as check down Kirk. He's been known that for a lot of his season, even back to college. Like, he gets overpressured, he gets concerned that he's going to get hit in the pocket, and then he throws it to a check down. He's not a guy that feels comfortable moving out of the pocket and trying to improvise a play. He's just not. And so instead, he checks it down. It's a problem. That's not the way the NFL's going anymore. He's an old-style pocket-centric quarterback, and he's one of the only few in the NFL that still even exists. There's a reason why.
You know what it reminds me of? He's a nicer, better version of a guy named Scott Mitchell. You want to know what Scott's nickname was? The Statue.
The Statue, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. He can't move. And we shouldn't be asking him to, but at the same time, there's a point where you have to realize that type of style play doesn't work anymore. If you're gonna do that, you either have to adapt, or you need to get out of the way. And I hate to tell you, Kirk, we've given you way more chances than anybody else would have. And I can't think of any other team that would have put up with this for this long.
No, exactly.
It's time to hang it up and move on, or accept that you're just a veteran QB, and that's gonna be back up now.
Yeah, you gotta. And
I'm not gonna blame completely Cousins on this. The organization needs to fucking realize this.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
The org needs to know that this is the end. This is the end of Kirk Cousins.
And it's going to cost us to get rid of him. Sadly.
It is.
We're either going to have to eat out the contract for a couple of years because I think he's got 2 years left.
I think this is his last year, actually. I think he only got extended for 2.
No, he got an extension.
Yeah, but I thought it was only for the 1 additional year.
Hold on. I will find out.
I could be wrong. It could be 2. I thought it was only 1 more.
Let me look it up.
God, God forbid if it's 2. God. I think I'd rather
Sport Track.
I'd rather stab my eyes out than watch him play 2 more years.
This season and next season. And then, the 2024-2025 are voided.
Jesus.
So we've got this year and next year. And next year, he carries a cap hit of $36.25 million.
So we only have him for next year, and then we're good.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
but he's going to cost us $12.5 million in dead cap those 2 years.
Which is what it is. There's not much you can do about that. Here's the thing. Okay, you got a couple options. The general management is going to have to look at this, but you have options, right? And your obvious bastard bit me. You got options. Your first option is attempting to move up in the drafts with somebody and pick up a QB and have him sit behind Cousins for 1 year. Your other option is attempting to move Cousins now, which I don't think there's going to be anybody who's going to pick up that contract, so you're going to end up still having to pay a 50-50 at the best case scenario on that contract, which is still going to be very difficult to then pick up anyone in free agency. Possible, unlikely. Or you cut him, and if you cut him, doesn't really do you any good because you still have to eat that dead cap.
Yep,
so
that would be bad.
So, frankly, I think the best option would be if you absolutely can't find someone to trade with, which I don't think they're going to. Even if you do a 50-50 on the contract, I don't think anyone takes that.
Do you want to guess the 5 quarterbacks for 2023 that are going to make more cap hit wise than Kirk Cousins?
More?
Yep, that are the higher. He is 6th.
Deshaun Watson
in terms of quarterback. Yep, he's number 1.
Aaron Rodgers.
Nope.
Oh, that's surprising. Kyler Murray, I believe.
Nope.
Really? Stafford?
Nope.
Jesus. It won't be Brady because he's a free agent.
Murray's cap hit for 2023 is only $16 million.
Oh, that's not that bad, actually.
Stafford's is $20 million.
Okay, I thought that was going to be more. It's not going to be Justin Fields. He's still a rookie, so his cap is going to be pretty low, too.
Nope.
Or he's not a rookie, but he's a... You know what I mean. He's
you're missing 2 obvious ones and 2 not-so-obvious ones.
Did they extend Baker? Is Baker on there?
Nope.
Okay. Give me a second. I'll get there. Carson Wentz?
Nope.
Ooh, because I know he had gotten a pretty big contract.
Mm-hmm.
Did they? I don't think they've extended Jared Goff, so I don't think it's him.
Nope. He's number 11. Rodgers is number 10.
Yep. I guess. Oh, Mahomes, right? Mahomes got to be huge.
Mahomes is number 3.
Josh Allen's probably pretty big.
Josh Allen is number 4.
Okay.
Now those are the 2 obvious ones. Who are the 2 unobvious?
Russell
One
Wilson.
of them should be partially obvious because we've already talked about him.
Russell Wilson, right?
Nope.
Really? I thought he got a huge contract.
$22 million. He's 13th next year.
Wow. I thought they paid him way more than that. Okay, fair enough.
It fluctuates year by year.
That's true. It won't be Lamar. Lamar is still not on contract, so.
Nope.
And neither is Tua.
Nope.
Oh, goodness gracious. Who am I still missing? No, because I think even if you give teams, I probably won't remember the names. So I gotta see if I can remember off of the top of my head.
One of them you'll never get, not in a bajillion years.
That's fair. Joe Burrow still on his rookie contract, I believe.
Yep, he's still on his rookie. Like I said, we talked about one of them already today.
I don't think Sam Darnold.
Nope.
Garoppolo?
Nope.
Not Jimmy G. Okay. Man, it's not Matt Ryan, I don't think. That would be weird.
Nope. Matt Ryan is 7th. He's the one right behind Kirk.
Okay, I didn't think they paid him that much. Jesus.
$35.2 million.
Jeez. Okay, go ahead and give a hint because I'm clearly missing. I don't think I'm gonna get these other 2.
Jerry Jones.
Oh, Dak. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Dak is number 2.
I should have remembered that. I mentioned that he was overpaid. Jesus Christ.
Dak is number 2. Do you want to know what his cap hit is?
Oh, it's probably gonna be like 35 or 36 or something like that.
49.
Oh, Jesus.
49.1.
He is not worth that, Jerry. What's wrong with you? Okay.
You're never gonna get the 5th guy though.
Give me a team.
In a jillion years.
Give me a team.
Tennessee.
Tannehill?
Yeah.
Really?
36.6.
I mean, actually, I could see it because I know when they signed him originally, the contract was a little bigger than I thought it was, but they split it up where it was cheaper on the front end and it got more expensive on the back end.
Yeah, 36.6 for him next year.
Which, the first 2 years, he definitely was worth it, and now these
the top 6 are Deshaun, Dak, Patrick, Josh, Ryan Tannehill, and then Kirk Cousins. Oh, man. That's because there's at least 2 people on there that don't deserve to be on that list.
No, there's definitely 2 people that definitely don't deserve to be on that list.
Maybe even 3 if you really want to get mean about it.
Definitely 2.
And then you know who they're followed by?
Well, we already mentioned Matt Ryan at 7.
Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, technically, even though his contract is voided.
That's fair.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, again, that one's going to be voided too.
And Aaron Rodgers at 10 to round it out.
So most of, I'll say this, the majority of those make sense, but there's definitely, I would say definitely 3 on that list that probably are getting overpaid.
Wentz is 12. Murray is 15.
Those are going to get more expensive, obviously.
Jameis Winston is 16.
He hasn't even played!
Marcus Mariota is 17.
You know, he actually did okay for the Falcons as a interim.
Mitchell Trubisky is 19.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I can actually see that. Because
Trubisky's above Lawrence and Tua and Wilson.
That's because none of them are getting paid right now.
Yeah, Herbert's going to get an extension, by the way, because he's number 24.
He's absolutely going to. Here's the people you could definitely know are going to get paid a lot of money. Justin Herbert's going to get paid a lot of money. Joe Burrow's going to get paid a lot of money. Lamar's going to get paid a lot of money. Trevor Lawrence, when he gets there, is going to get paid a lot of money. There are definitely
Lamar's not even on the list because he doesn't have a contract for next year.
No. But he's going to get paid a lot of money somewhere. It might not be with Baltimore, but he's going to get paid a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting list to go over real quick. I figured you and I would appreciate going over the stupidity of that
No,
list.
It just makes me sad. You just made me more sad. But that sounds about right for Vikings Corner of this weekend.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think the management has to decide what they're going to do because I think at this point you're not in a full rebuild, but you're definitely at a QB need. You're a QB needy team.
And there's certain other pieces you can
Oh,
dump on.
defense,
You
yeah.
definitely need to rebuild your defense.
Here's the thing: if you're going to move Kirk Cousins, I think there's a way you do it, but it's going to require you to have to concede some points. Like if you move Cousins to get anyone into entice, you might have to move Cook with him. You might have to move a couple key defensive players such as Danielle Hunter or Zadarius Smith, which some people might say, that's crazy, Chris. Why the fuck are you mentioning that? Well, if you go defensive heavy in the draft, you can still pick up a potential replacement. And since you're going to have to rebuild that defense anyways, move off of some of the ones that are expensive.
And I was going to say Dalvin Cook should be enough to entice most people. And why would you trade Dalvin Cook? Well,
Alexander Madison is a decent back.
Alexander Madison is a decent back, and Cook seems to have trouble staying in the lineup for an entire season.
That, and on top of that, Cook this year, I mean, no offense to Cook, but it's clear that we're moving to a more pass-heavy offense.
Yep.
And we haven't utilized Cook to what his actual potential would be at a different place.
Exactly. And at this point, I think you'd look to trade him. That's just me. I
agree.
I hate to say that. I'm a big fan.
Honestly, I'll say this: I would be really happy if we could somehow move Cook and Cousins, and pick up a Derek Carr. I'd be happy with that because I think
wouldn't be horrible.
Some people would be like, "Why would you go with Derek Carr?"
But there's no way that you would move them for that because, quite frankly, I think Las Vegas is looking elsewhere.
No, I mean, I said you don't move them both together. You'd end up having to move like Cook to Las Vegas and then take Derek Carr.
Why would they want him? They've got Josh Jacobs.
Because can you imagine them as a dual back system together?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Nah, no. I could.
And Tampa wouldn't mind getting their hands on Cook, I don't think.
Yeah, but I don't want anything Tampa's got. Unless it's a draft pick. But even then,
that's not great. But they don't really have a quarterback that I'm looking for.
Here's the controversial one. And our GM has already done some plays that indicate he'd be willing to make this move. Which is, move Cooks, give him to the Bears. Get either a draft pick or Justin Fields, depending on what the Bears decide to do with the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, if you could get Justin Fields, I would be okay with that. And I wouldn't be mad at moving Cook over to them. I think that would be
and on top of that, entice him with your first round and your second round pick. I think that would be a steal for the Bears, but it would also be good for us because we don't need that as badly as they would.
Exactly, I can see that.
So they need a good running game. You get that with Cook, and they need more draft picks to continue finishing their actual rebuild. All we need is a QB and some defensive players, which most really good defensive players you don't have to pick in the first and second rounds. You can get a lot of good quality in the middle.
I got a stupid dark horse idea that I want to throw at you. Because you're a fan of the player. And I think that potentially he would work better in KOC's system than he has anywhere else.
Okay.
If anybody's going to be able to fix this player and get the most out of them, I think KOC could. What about Baker? He's got legs.
The biggest problem...
He's got legs. He can move around.
Well, here's the thing. KOC's offense is similar to the Rams' offense. And Baker's currently with the Rams.
I think his contract is up at the end of the season.
It is. Is he better in that system? Yes. The problem, if you take him on, which we could, but if you do that, you know that he's going to be a gunslinger, because that's what he is. He's going to make some really terrible throws, kind of like he did at the end of that Seahawks game. And you're going to have to live with that. Now, would I rather him do that than check it down? Absolutely. The difference is that...
totally.
The difference that I have is that when Baker did that, he did it on a first down. It was unnecessary risk to throw. Yeah,
but again, and I think KOC is even a better guy for that than what they currently have in LA. Not only that, I think we have better talent on the offense than they do in LA.
Would I be upset with getting a Baker Mayfield? Would I be upset with even getting...
and you might even be able to get him cheap
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be upset about getting him, and I certainly wouldn't be upset about trying to get the guy from the Texans either. Long neck, whatever his name is, I forget.
Davis
Davis Mills,
Mills.
Long neck Mills, yeah. Because that
I
guy is.
wouldn't be mad about
I would
that.
not be mad
Davis,
at
I
that
think
because I think
he's
he's
decent.
also. And I'd actually prefer Davis Mills only simply to the fact because he is younger and you're going to have him longer.
I would agree.
Baker's still very possible, but I think the one reason I like Davis Mills a little bit more is simply due to the fact that he has similar qualities that Baker does, but he's less likely to make a lot of the big risks that Baker will make.
So let me throw one out here that I think would be interesting. You've mentioned it, but I want to take it further.
Okay.
I want to trade Dalvin Cook with Kirk Cousins to the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields something. I don't know what yet.
I'd be okay with that, but do you think that
future
the Bears
first round pick?
The problem with that is, as much as I agree, I do not believe the Bears would take that because they don't need Kirk.
Hold on. You take Justin Fields from them, and then you allow them for the last year of his contract to sit their rookie quarterback so they don't have to throw him into the deep end right away.
They could absolutely do that if they want. I'm just not sure that that's the direction they'd be willing to go.
If they're willing to, though.
I think like even though I played up that for the fact of trying to get the first round pick or Justin Fields, I don't think you could get the first round of this year. I think you'd have to do a few like 2023 or 2024. That's what I'm saying. Like I just don't think. Here's my issue. I mean in general, like if you try to make a vie for their first round pick or Justin Fields, I think as much as our GM would be willing to do that since he's already done plays with the Lions, he's never done that for the Bears, or the Packers, which tells me that one of two options: either he's already talked to them and knows they're not willing to play ball inter-division, or the Bears just don't want to go that direction. Now
it's entirely possible the Bears don't want to go that direction, but we'll see how it. I don't think at the time they were planning on having the first overall pick either.
No, they weren't. I think it would be amazing for us to try to make that kind of play. I just don't see the Bears willingly doing that without us giving up even more to get either option.
Oh yeah, I think we'd have to give up a bunch.
We'd have to give up Cousins. We'd have to realistically, to make it even possible, we'd have to give up Cousins, Cook. We'd probably have to give up either Danielle Hunter or Zadarius Smith. We'd have to give up our first round, our second round, and possibly a future first. You know what I'm saying? We'd have to really throw basically the dishwasher at them.
And it would depend. No, it would also depend if they find a quarterback that they really fall in love with and they think they can move off of Justin Fields, maybe he becomes available. There's also the product of, there's the issue with trying to get someone like Trey Lance is we don't have really anything that Frisco would want for him outside of draft picks.
No, because he doesn't need Cook, because obviously
you don't need Cook because you've got CMC.
No,
you don't need
you definitely don't need
expensive fucking backup.
No, and you definitely don't need any of the defensive options that we have. Don't get me wrong, Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are great at their roles, but they already have Nick Bosa and shit like that. They don't need another edge rusher. They just don't.
They just don't. So they're. Trying to figure out which way to go. The only way we end up possibly getting Trey Lance is we would end up having to entice him with draft picks, basically. Yep, and I don't think we want to do that. So,
because that's a gamble on our part. We don't know what Trey Lance is going to be like because we only saw a couple of games of him before he got injured. So, yeah, it is concerning. Don't get me wrong. If we could get him at a reasonable price, I would be okay with taking that gamble. But I don't think we're going to get him for a reasonable price.
No, I don't think so either.
At that point, I'd rather go for somebody who's more tried and tested, like a Justin Fields.
Yeah, like I said, Davis Mills isn't bad. But right now, what I'd want to do is try to package Kirk and Dalvin Cook together and see if I couldn't get a good draft pick for them. A couple of draft picks. Maybe a cornerback or something out of it. And then sign somebody like Baker because I think he'll come cheaply. And I get that there's issues obviously there with a guy like Baker, but And then maybe if you free up enough space and the Ravens part from Lamar, you could put him in purple and gold, and I think that would be amazing.
Like I said, I would not be opposed to any of those options. I just have a suspicious feeling that we're gonna fall back into the same problem, and they're gonna extend Cousins for another year.
I really don't want them. I'm tired of them doing the 1-year extension for $30 million thing, because he's not worth $36 million fucking dollars. No,
he's not. But here's the thing: we do have a new GM. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I'm only worried because last season he did it and gave him that extension. Granted, to be fair, in the way he did it as a new GM coming in, going, "Hey, I just want to shore up the QB for the next 2 years while I figure out what we're going to do for the future." That might be what he did. And in that case, great on you. But
you wanted to evaluate him with his own eyes.
Yeah, great on you. You made a good decision ultimately. I think maybe you didn't have to extend him. You could have been fine with the 1 year, but I understand why you went 2. I get it. However, you now have to find a way out of this contract because it's no longer working, and you need to realize based upon the rest of what you saw that it isn't going to work. So this is going to be a big test of if I have faith in this GM going forward. If they end up re-signing Cousins, you will have lost complete and utter faith in me as a fan that you're going to do the right thing for the Vikings going forward to win a Super Bowl. If you're going to try to win a Super Bowl, you have to move Cousins or attempt to move Cousins, or at least do something to try to bring in like a really big
or just not re-sign him. Just even suck it up next season and then let him walk. That is perfectly acceptable.
Do something that makes me show that you're moving on from Cousins and you're trying to make the next big play. Because here's the other thing you have to remember. If you want to keep JJ around and you want to keep him as your star wide receiver,
he's going to cost money.
He's going to cost money, but do you think he's going to want to play with Cousins?
That's the question.
Does he want to continue playing with Cousins? Here's the thing. He wants a QB who's going to trust in him to make the plays because that's what he does. And Cousins during the regular season was doing that, except for at the very end when things started to become more and more pressured. And then especially in that playoff game, he went quiet after the first quarter. It wasn't because JJ wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. It's because Cousins no longer had trust to be able to throw him the ball. That's a problem. And JJ knows it, and JJ got frustrated towards the end of the season, and you saw him get frustrated towards the end of the season because he knew what was happening. He knew Cousins was starting to break down, and if you want to keep your star wide receiver, you can't be having that problem. And here's
it's one of the reasons that we lost Diggs.
With the same QB, mind you. You were starting to build another habit where wide receivers don't want to play with them anymore.
Exactly.
They get tired because they're no longer being trusted to play their game.
They need to, So, I think I think we've depressed ourselves enough.
We have. You know what? All I'm going to say is, Adolfo Mensa, please make the right decision. Because if you don't, you sink the entire organization. If you don't, you sink.
We're looking right in the cameras right now, and we are begging.
If you don't make the right decision, you sink the ship for a long time.
Yeah.
Just saying it right now. Don't make the mistake. All right. Game balls. Game balls.
Game balls. Balls.
Balls. Me or you?
My balls are always bouncing.
My balls, they hurt. Do you want to go first?
Touchdown population, you.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I won't steal one from you, I don't think. So I'm going to toss out from last night, Mr. Prescott. Yeah. You finally played like a $49 million quarterback.
That actually was
25 of 33, 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 rushes, 24 yards, 1 touchdown. You accounted for 5 fucking touchdowns. Sorry, your kicker missed 4 extra points.
You know what? Thinking about it, that guy should have probably been in our Inferno somewhere.
I wanted to, but at the same time, like he had to be trolling. That had to be on purpose at some point.
Jerry Jones not paying him. I'm gonna miss all the extra points.
Fuck you.
That was actually gonna be one of mine if you didn't take it. I was actually gonna give Dak. Yeah, he played really well. You did play
He played really well. I'm impressed. Good job, Mr. Prescott.
Okay, my first one, I believe, don't quote me, I think his first name is Sam, but it's Hubbard.
Sam Hubbard, yes.
Yep.
I had him on my list if you didn't take him.
Sam Hubbard for the Cincinnati Bengals. Grew up a Cincinnati Bengals fan, recovers that fumble from Tyler Huntley, runs it all the way back. Big man, running it all the way back for 98 yards for a touchdown. You know what, sir? That's the highlight probably for you. You grew up a fan of the Bengals, and now you get to do that as a Bengal. I'm sure that means everything to you. So, you get the game ball, sir.
One that I haven't given a game ball yet to, but you have, I'm going to throw him out there. Big Cock Brock Purdy.
Big Cock Brock, yeah.
Big Cock Brock, 18 of 30, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sir, game ball for your first playoff game. You definitely let it all hang out.
Yep, he did.
Well done, sir.
Game ball. Daniel Jones. God, it fucking hurts for me to tell you this, but you made our defense look like shit. You played probably one of your best games of your career. You do deserve the game ball, regardless of my bias is saying that I don't want to give you one.
By the way, his stats, because he's on my list as well.
Go ahead.
24 of 35, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 carries for 78 yards. Led the team in yardage on the ground.
If I recall, only a couple other QBs have even close to that stat line in the playoffs, and I think Colin Kaepernick was one of them.
I think so.
I think Lamar was the other, I think.
I think Lamar is pretty close to that, yeah. My last one, Joe Burrow, baby.
Yep.
23 of 32, 209 yards and a touchdown. You didn't turn the ball over. You did enough to keep your team in the game. Yes, it had to come down to a ridiculous fumble recovery, but I still feel even if they'd have scored there, that you could have found a way to drive them back down the field and win the game. Sir, good job. Well played. Game ball.
Now my last one is going to be controversial, but I think it's still deserved. Trevor Lawrence, I am giving you a game ball. You did throw 4 picks, but the ability to go into halftime, readjust yourself, and come out with a win is very important because a lot of QBs can't do that. They get rattled and then they stop wanting to throw the ball.
I wanted to throw him in my list, but the four interceptions kind of.
It is bad, and I know it is, but I think I'm giving the game ball for more of the mentality, the ability to continue staying focused and pushing forward regardless of the fact that there was 4 picks. Granted, 2 of them not really his fault, but still.
All right, so upcoming for next week, I am working on a very long NBA trade dissection. When a team traded its very first ever superstar away from the team and got back junk in return and then turned around and actually did better with it than what you would expect. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm going to make people guess at which one I'm actually doing. But it'll come out sometime next week or the week after, hopefully. I do not know. There's a lot more involved than what the initial trade looks like. It goes a lot deeper. And in fact, one of the trades in there could literally be its own trade dissection. It's so complicated and stupid. So we'll leave that alone, and we'll see that next week. Of course, do have the football games this weekend. We will see how those go. I think they're going to be interesting.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like you're trying to play him like a musical instrument. You know that, right?
It does look a little weird, and it probably looks really weird seeing his tongue go out going... That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Why he enjoys getting blown on the face, I don't know. But he gets mad when I don't. And then he tries to pull my hair out, and it makes me very upset. So.
All right, well,
he's a little bit of a weirdo.
That's it. I think that's it for this episode of the Bearded Brothers Yet Another Sports Podcast. We wish every team luck, except for the Packers who aren't in the games. Fuck the Packers.
Yeah, fuck Packers.
Also, we don't wish the Cowboys luck. Fuck the Cowboys.
Yeah, mostly fuck the Cowboys.
Mostly fuck the Cowboys. Outside of that, we will see you all back here again next week. Thank you very much. Remember, smash like, smash subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us all the love. because, you know, we're trying to do this for y'all and also for us. Have a great one, guys. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.